Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing.
Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 214 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. So I'm really feeling this episode, and I hope you're going to feel it as well. You'll have to let me know if you can. So I journal every morning. As you know, I talk about a lot. And after I journal, I usually turn the page, and on the back, I do a quick little sketch. Now, for a long time, my sketch would be a tree of some sort. It lately has been not a tree. It's been two little stick people, and I give them a conversation. Now, I switched over from the tree because I'd get so involved in drawing my tree that it would take me away from my day for sometimes over an hour. And I have too many things I want to accomplish, and being an artist really isn't one of them. But my love for trees still is so strong. Now, the meditation I followed this morning, Jeff was talking about imagining yourself as a tree with your roots running deep and breathing in the good energy and the minerals of the tree and the earth. Now, that may be a bit out there for some of you. I know that. But the reason why I'm telling you that is I want you to think about a tree. Okay, so much of what's good in the world has come from nature, and we've learned so much from nature. Our organic designs, wind and solar energy, mimicking materials nature uses like filters and Velcro, all inspired by nature. Those are just skimming the surface. But a tree has so much to teach us, namely resilience. The resilience of a tree is remarkable. We had an ice storm recently, and trees are really tested when they're coated with a thick layer of ice. I mean, weak points just do not do well. But all over town, you see these trees with large broken limbs, in some cases half the tree torn off because the weight of the ice is too much. But the base of the tree and the other part of the tree weathered the storm and stayed strong and tall and will continue to be okay, even though it's gone through a pretty traumatic event. Also, a few years ago, we were doing some landscaping in our backyard. We have a lot of trees back there, but we have a fence line, and there were these bushes along the fence line. They look like little trees, but I didn't love the way they looked because I had a different idea for what I wanted back there, but they looked a little messy. So I wanted them to be removed. Now, our arborist said, well, I'm going to cut them back down to the top of the root, and when you decide what you want, we'll just dig the roots up and plant new trees. So that's what he did. He cut them completely down to the ground where I didn't see them anymore. Now, I had trouble deciding what I wanted because there's a lot of shade, and I didn't know what would live. So I just let it be for a little while. And then one day I was back there and I went, oh my goodness, these little trees are going back. And I watched over the next few months as these little sprouts of green popped up on each root. And over the next couple of years, they grew back just as strong as they were before. But now I'm in awe of them. So I want to keep them just as a way to remind me of the power of nature and the resilience of a strong, well-rooted tree. I want you to picture yourself as a tree. Okay? Maybe you feel right now like the trees from the ice storm where they've lost a limb. Eventually that tree seals off that area that's been damaged so that it doesn't affect the rest of the tree. Now it's going to survive, and it may have a difficult time, but it will survive and it will get better. And eventually it'll just have a scar, or maybe no scar, just a memory. The same goes for us, doesn't it? When I was younger and I would see a tree damaged by a storm, I would think, oh no, they're going to have to cut it down. But most of the time, they didn't have to. It did just fine. But to our primitive brain, it could seem like the tree would never last, like it's not going to survive. And we tend to think that about our lives too. Like when something bad happens, our brain gives us thoughts that this is permanent. I mean, we're never going to make it through this. We'll never be happy again. We'll never be able to thrive again. But like the tree, there we are, still standing, able to thrive again eventually, and stronger for it. Experience teaches us that. Maybe you have had a major life event where you feel like my little bushes and they were cut down to the root. And yeah, part of me feels bad, but I've grown from it and they're thriving. So everyone just settle down. They're fine. But maybe you feel like that and you feel like you've been cut off at the knees. Feels like you're not going to survive it. And then one day there's a little hint of comfort or peace for a moment. And that goes away again. And then another moment of peace. And then it slowly keeps growing. And eventually you make your way back to being able to thrive and happy. You can be happy again, maybe even stronger than before. You're still here for a reason. Let that give you strength. I mean, knowing that it's not an accident that you're here. Feel empowered and strong because you lived through something really hard. And maybe you're strengthening someone else and you don't even know it. Maybe you're breathing life into someone else because you're able to still be so strong. Here's the thing about trees. Trees that live amongst other trees live way longer and are much healthier than a standalone tree. I didn't know that until I read it. Now, they intertwine their roots to get stronger, and they block the wind. They share the sun. They hold water and share the water. I mean, they need those other trees to thrive. They do better as a group. We're social creatures too. We do better in a group. Don't isolate yourself. It isn't a badge of honor to take everything on alone. If there's any lesson that's worth taking from a tree, it's to lean into your community. Maybe your blood family isn't that great. Find a community that you thrive in. Tony Robbins always says, love your family, choose your peers. I love that. Now, lately, I feel like our society is trying to move away from connecting in person. Don't fall for that. It isn't going to work for us. The happiest people, the people that live the longest and are the happiest, lean into their communities, not away from them. Maybe you have an awesome family. Lean into that. If they aren't so hot, then lean into your church family, your work family, your coaching team, your gym friends, your hobby group. Seek out your group and lean into it. The trees that do the best are in the company of other trees that actually lend help when it's needed. It's okay to be strong on your own sometimes, but it's also okay to need help too. We're stronger in groups, just like trees. We can also stand on our own and must even, just like a tree. The deeper our roots are, the stronger we are. And the more storms we've weathered, the stronger we are. And while I'm on a roll, trees also don't wish they were somewhere else or something else. They understand their own beauty and uniqueness. A magnolia tree here in the South doesn't wish it was an oak tree. A palm tree doesn't wish it lived in Alaska. Can you imagine? It would never survive, I don't think. Trees just live authentically who they are. An oak tree doesn't try to grow a magnolia flower. It doesn't even covet it. It just stands in its own beauty and strength, just as beautiful and strong in its own way. You're beautiful in your own way too. We get sideways when we compare ourselves to someone else. It never works out well. Never. Just be who you are and be cool with that. So if you're going through a tough time right now, imagine yourself like a tree. No matter what you're going through, there's a lesson here for you. There's a lesson for me, for all of us. You're resilient. You'll be stronger for weathering those storms. Maybe it's preparing you so that you can block the wind for a friend in need. Or maybe you're storing water for a friend that's going through a drought. Never underestimate your own power, but also the power of having a community to lean into when you need it and be leaned on when someone else needs it. And finally, be authentically you. You're perfectly created and you're here for a reason. Now, you may not know it, but there may be someone within your reach that needs to hear this today. Share it with at least 3 people, and it will find its way there. I love you guys. I'll talk to you in a few days.
Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.